welcome to the live Q&A here at the Dice Tower. It is October 21st, 2024. In a week and 2 days, I will be in Thailand, or a week and 3 days, I suppose. Next week, I'll be flying to Thailand for the Games Expo there, and I'll be there for, I think, 5 days, which is kind of a short turnaround, but I can't be gone from here too long. There is stuff on the radar. There are things to prepare. We went over our schedule for the rest of the year, folks, and it's jam-packed, and that's without us going to any really other conventions. But this is live Q&A. If you have any questions, go ahead and ask them here. Before we jump into questions, let's talk about this coming week. Later on today, we'll be doing a Will Play It Live. Tomorrow, Z is going to be... actually, let me pull up my schedule here so I just make sure I say the right stuff. Tomorrow, let me pull up here to today's 21st. Okay. Oh, by the way, Week in Review went live today, for those of you who were looking for it. Tomorrow, Z's going to be playing Long Dark Sea. He'll be playing that one live. We're also doing Flash Marathon tomorrow, where we just play a bunch of stupid games. Maybe they're not stupid, but they look stupid. Maybe not even, whatever. We're just playing some games tomorrow evening. And then on Wednesday, we got Crowd Surfing. Thursday, we'll be doing our top 10 worker placement games and Board Game Smorgasbord. And on Friday, we're doing like a mini marathon. So Bitewing Games coming in, and we're playing Silos, Ego, and Orbit. All three of their games that they have in their Kickstarter back to back. So you'll be able to see those. And then lots of different reviews going up this week. It's about time we reviewed some of these games. So we have a bunch of fun games coming up, including Kelp later on. That's this coming Sunday. Anyhow, that's what you can look forward to this coming week. That is, what book am I reading right now? I'm reading part of the Honor Harrington series, just kind of as a palate cleanser. I started reading a series, and I decided I did not like it. What was the series called? And this was, I didn't like it. I didn't want to keep reading it. It was a series that someone had recommended to me. And I'm just going to bring up the books here because I forget what they're called. The series was called Expeditionary Force. The first book was called Columbus Day. They call it that because Earth gets attacked by aliens on Columbus Day. And so I read the first 3 books. No, I read the first 2 books and part of the third. And I just kind of fell out of it. If you've ever read the series... The main reason I fell out because I found it to be an incredibly fascinating book. I really liked the idea of it. And then halfway through the first book, they introduce one of the main characters, and that main character just took me out. I just can't deal with that main character as long as I feel like I'm going to be dealing with that main character for the rest of the series. The series seems to be about this main character. It just took them a long time to introduce him. So, anyhow. Yep, Joey posted the schedule for the week. Huzzah, indeed. Can you say when we're reviewing SETI? As I say with all my, in every Q&A, nope, can't say when we're reviewing anything. We literally got, I'm not kidding, 200 to 300 games at Essen. There's no way we can review them all. We're going through them as quickly as we can, and we'll review them when we get to them. That's the best I can promise you. Has Mike arrived yet? No, Mike's coming in on Thursday. In general, do you think board game reviewers are too harsh or too nice of scoring new games? Yeah, I mean, it all depends on the person. I think the majority of board game reviewers are too nice. But then there's reviewers, there's very few of them, but there's some people who are just mean and nasty just to be mean and nasty too. Have I had time to play The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom? I don't even know what that is. Oh, this is the new Switch game, right? 2024 action-adventure game. Yeah, I'll probably just buy it for my son for Christmas. And then he can play it. And I'll worry about that then. All right. I just got Wonders Creature, such a lovely production. Have you played it more? Not since the review, probably, and are my thoughts on the special powers being underwhelming still the same? Sure. And I don't know that they're necessarily bad. It's just that, give me whoever. It's not that big of a deal. That's how minor I think the special powers are. Was there a game at Essen that took me by surprise? Not really. I mean, we're always going to find games that I'm like, what? I mean, there's the fart and the furious. But usually I know about games before Essen. Sometimes I see them for the first time and I'm very surprised at how cool they look. So there's that. Do I like roguelike games? I like roguelike games if they let you advance at a reasonable pace. I don't mind dying. I just want one that lets me advance at a reasonable pace. What I'm playing right now that I'm on the cusp of stopping because there comes a point in a roguelike game where I'm like, meh, and that's called Vampire Hunters. You're just a vampire hunter, you're running around and a zillion enemies come after you and you kill them, but you upgrade your weapons and eventually you die. And then you can upgrade a little bit more between games and you unlock new stuff. Vampire Hunters has kept me interested because there's just so much stuff to unlock. Update on Chief Sokotoa. I think I saw him at the grocery store the other day. I doubt that. Chief Sokotoa almost always uses the reverberating 19.4 tool when he is in this dimension, this thing, because people here are just really not ready for this sort of thing, and you cannot see him. Or if you do see him, the best way to describe it is kind of like an answering machine that we used to have, and you would erase the answering machine. So you'll see him. You'll be like, oh, yeah, that guy's a pretty interesting person. You walk away, and then you forget. It's like erased from your mind slowly. Don't worry about it. It's probably happened to you because a lot of this is used in the world today. But these things, as far as we can tell, are pretty harmless. It's just a way to kind of erase your mind of a lot of things. But back to your original question, he seems to be doing well. No, I don't want to spoil, what news he might have, but he does seem happier these days. He was the happiest I've ever seen him. We were talking, this was about 92 years from now, and we were talking about some things, and he just seemed really thrilled, and I know the reason for it. But he had just got back from a mission on Blufashka, which is it's a moon that orbits a moon, that orbits a moon, that orbits a planet, that orbits a star, which star is orbiting a giant moon, which is really weird, and we're still not sure about what that moon. Anyway, back to the thing, and there was some sort of overthrow of the local emperor that they had to fight back and all that jazz, and he was there to help the good guys as always. What are your top 3 countries you want to visit but you haven't been to yet? I'm afraid to say any country now. I'll just do some off the top of my head. Where would I really like to go? I'll say any country in Africa I'd like to go to, just straight up off the board, would be one of them. Singapore, probably, and Australia. I think those are the 3 that I would really like to see. Have I officiated a wedding? I've officiated 2 weddings. And how did they go? One went well, one less so. Well, I mean, the weddings went well. The couple did not stay together on one, and the couple did stay together on the other, so I'm 50%. I will be officiating my daughter's wedding next year, so that's exciting, but that's also well over a year away. What game for 2 players would you recommend that both gamer and non-gamer can enjoy? That doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're a gamer or a non-gamer. Just find a fun game for 2 players and play it. There's not a thing about gamer or non-gamer. Just find a fun game. I can't tell you what anyone will play or not play. I like the embroidered shirt you've been recently wearing. Reminds me of the Filipino national dress, the barong tagalong. These are similar to that. The tagalong, of which I don't actually own any. I used to. Did I? I don't know if I've ever owned one. When I lived in Korea, a lot of people like to wear them. These, though, are guayaberas. This is from Cuba. And so I have many different colors of this exact same shirt. I really like it. It works well for a dress situation. It works well for casual situation. It's like the perfect shirt for me. They're very loose fitting. The airflow is good. I really enjoy these shirts. I think I have 10 of them, something like that. I have a lot. I really like them. Any given day I'm wearing this or I'm wearing a shirt and tie. What Halloween costume are you doing this year? I'm not going to do any Halloween costume because during Halloween I will be in Thailand. So just not doing anything. Do we have an on-sale date for Dice Tower East? Yes. What is it? I don't know off the top of my head. I know it's soon. We'll announce it and make a big deal when it comes up. Is anyone in my family joining me on my travels to Thailand? Nope, they got school. You definitely need to visit Singapore, best food city on the planet. Only place anywhere I've traveled to only for their food. Well, that sounds nice, but I don't know that I would ever travel anywhere just for food. On average, how many times do you play characters from each Marvel United box before reviewing? Are you just going through an order of which box you wanted to play most? No, I'm just going through an order of me pulling the box off and messing with them. How many times do I play them? Enough. Have you ever had your opinions of a game change because of a rules teach? I don't understand that. You mean I didn't like the game or I did like it, but then someone taught it and I disliked it? The only thing I can think of what you mean here is that a game was taught to me and I thought, I don't like it. And then later on I found I did like it. I was just taught poorly. Maybe? Are there any holes in the current board game market you think it's weird that no company has filled yet? Not really. There's an overflowing abundance of games right now. Do you feel that some game designers are making games more complex for the sake of complexity whilst not being as concerned about whether it's a good, fun game? No, I don't think any game designer thinks that. I think a lot of designers, and I'm sure myself would be included if I did design a game, they make their games complex because you get married to these mechanisms. You think, this is really neat. This is really neat. This is really neat. And then someone says, hey, this needs to be pared down. And you go, oh, does it really? And that's where you run into problems. So I saw the Arnak Big Box was revealed at the World Series of Board Game. Did you get a chance to play it? I did not play it. I don't know anything about it, actually. I just saw people playing it, and it looked fun. What Lord of the Rings race would everyone in the office be? I don't know. Well, that's a weird question. Sam would be a dwarf. He's not in the office, but Sam would be a dwarf. Joey would be the innkeeper from Bree, the pleasant one. Camille would be a ring wraith. No, I don't know. No, I don't know. I don't know what races we would be. Given the overabundance, there's a good chance the trend will go downhill from here. I don't know what that means. The overabundance of games? Nah, I think things will even out. Was there anything at Essen that you were hoping to get but were unable to? Do you mean board game? There's a couple board games that we didn't get for whatever reason, and I'm sure we'll get them at some point or not, and I'll get over it. How many games do you have prepared to play for planning a game night? More than I need, for sure. I always take, so let's say I have 5 hours for gaming. I will take 15 hours. I'll take triple what I need, almost always. I just can't help myself. You never know. Sometimes we've jettisoned the game like, nah, this game's not that great, or I don't want to play it after reading the rules, or whatever it might be, so I'm glad I bring backups. If you could preserve one board game for future generations thousands of years from now as an example of peak board game design from our time, what would it be? Cosmic Encounter. People always ask the same question over and over. Yes, the same thing. What game would you take to a deserted island? What game? There's best game. But I know what you're trying to say here, like a peak game design. But what does that even mean? I mean, probably chess, right? Chess is peak game design. I don't know. I saw a review for Age of Atlantis by Jeff, and he mentioned that you didn't try it. That's correct, because the first game from this company was so horrific. I played it this weekend. I can say it's very unique and good with some flaws game. Maybe. Recommended for Catchapalooza. Maybe. I don't know, though. I have to be talked into these things. And this whole, you just said, it's a good game with some flaws, and I'm thinking, why would I go hunt down a good game with some flaws? I might play it, but I'm not in any rush to do it. What would be a good board game to gift a 7-year-old who you want to get into board gaming? I wouldn't give him a game to get him into board gaming at all. I don't give people gifts to get them into gaming. I don't think you should try to do that. You can give someone a game, and if it inspires them to want more games, so be it. And as for the gift to give a 7-year-old girl, depends on the girl, depends on their likes, depends on how old they are for 7, because one 7-year-old is not another 7-year-old. So for me, in this response, and I do the same when people email me on this, is I basically say, go figure it out. There's just not something that I do anyway, because I don't know. I mean, I'll just give you the latest kids game I played recently or something. My 10-year-old plays very different games with me than my other 10-year-olds have played. That's not a bad thing. They're just very different games. What do you think about companies bringing very low quantities for Essen? I'm thinking, for example, of Babylon only selling up to 50 per day. Well, still, they brought 200 copies. That's a lot of the game. I don't think you realize sometimes how expensive and hard it is to get games to Essen. You have to ship. You have to pay for that shipping. Sometimes the game's not finished, so you're air shipping copies over, which is almost the cost of the game per game. They're losing money on that. They just want people to play them. There's only so much money you can lose. When the games come in, they have to go through customs, and there's just a lot of different things involved. So I don't think anyone's bringing in so few games to be like, we brought in so few games. Or I don't even think companies bring in a few games so that they can say, we sold out. But sometimes you just can't bring in as many games as you would want to. Excuse my yawning. Are you going to continue to 6,000 games better than E-Series? I'll do that once in a while. Right now, I'm kind of really pushing on the reviews. There's a lot of reviews to do, so I'm doing that instead. Is there a trend in the modern gaming hobby that concerns you wish weren't happening? Well, just the cold of the future, I call it, where everyone's so excited about games that are coming out. All the games that were just released at Essen, everyone's like, yeah. Anyway, there's this Kickstarter right now. That's amazing. And a company will deliver a Kickstarter and people go, what's next? That, I think, is problematic. Let's play the games we have. Yo says lots of numbers. Have you considered to push more YouTube short contents or YouTube shorts? We've done a few. We'll have some more in the future. I love the multi-use card mechanism in SETI. I also love 51st State and San Juan. Well, there's a lot of good multi-use card games. Race for the Galaxy is indeed very good. There's war games that use cards in multiple ways. I'm a big fan of that whole idea of taking a card and using it as a payment for another card, or just various ways you can use cards. Do you think multiplayer solitaire board games are negative for the hobby? No. In any way, no, since people often play them for the social interaction. The game doesn't need to be interactive for me to have social interaction. If I'm sitting at the table and I'm playing a game that has very little interaction, I'm building my own little engine, I can still talk to you. We're still having a good time. We're talking about what we're doing. We're enjoying each other's company. It's still good social interaction. Any royalty-free IPs you'd like to see in an unmatched box? I don't know. I'm sure that they check everything over there. So maybe some Jules Verne stuff, but I'm not sure. I don't have any strong feelings on it. If a game has flaws is still getting recommended, maybe what's good with it may make it worth it. Some of my favorite games are good games with some flaws. Not always, but sometimes. Oh, sure, I get it. I'm just saying, for me, I sit there and think, well, I'm already playing hundreds of new games each year. I'm playing dozens of other games. I have my favorite games on the list. So someone says, but you should also try this older game with some flaws. I think, maybe, but also I'm not in any kind of, I have no impetus to do it. Do you think Flamecraft is suitable for children? Well, as long as I understand the game, I don't see why not. Off the top of your head, what are some of your favorite games to play around Halloween? Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, any game, really. I mean, Ready, Set, Bet, Cosmic Encounter. But what I think you're asking me is, what are my favorite spooky-themed games, in which we've done a top 10 list for that, I think. If we haven't, we're going to do another one next year. That explanation of Sokotoa felt like a fever dream. Who is he, and what did I just hear? No. Chief Sokotoa is not a fever dream. Fever dreams actually have some. I mean, me and Chief Sokotoa were part of a study on the fever dreams sometimes, and there's some interesting things there. Do you know you can have a fever dream in a fever dream? Anyway, Chief Sokotoa is part of an agency that keeps not just our world, but multiple worlds, galaxies, time zones, universes, Overabundance safe across time and space. He's done quite a good job. He's done it for many years. Him and he worked together on a team for a while. I've retired, obviously. I'm doing this sort of thing now. And but we still have fond memories, and we get together once in a while. Looking online, there's a lot of Halloween festivals in Thailand. Sure, but I don't think I'm going to them. Hey, Tom, how about a new series where everyone at Dice Tower goes through the teaching techniques that work for them when teaching games? I need a below-average teacher. I am such a below-average teacher that I need this. Well, maybe not. I've thought about teaching how to teach games, not necessarily a specific game, but how to teach games in general. It's almost a learned activity, though. You just got to work at it and see it. Some people are going to be naturally better than others. Although I just saw a thread saying that I was a terrible teacher. So you may not want to take my advice. What lifestyle game would you pick if you had to pick one? D&D, I think. Are you planning on coming back to the UK Games Expo? Possibly, but I don't have any, hard and fast scheduling to do so. Is that enough travel to Europe in a year? For me, it is. Not that I don't want to travel more often to Europe. It's just I only have so much time to travel, period. Some of the games I played in recent years I enjoyed the most were older ones I didn't know much about, but were revelations to me. War of the Roses? Well, I don't think War of the Roses has aged well. Age of Empires 3, etc. Oh no, again, I agree. I'm not opposed to playing older games and everything. I just said in this particular case, I may or may not get to it. Have you watched any or either Agatha or Penguin? I watched an episode of Agatha, and I'm not interested in a show about witches. That's not why I watch Marvel. There's a lot of witch shows out there already. I don't see what the fuss is. She was a great villain and the WandaVision, but Penguin is interesting. I have only seen a couple episodes, though. Could I ask for you to consider an occasional review of modern classics for those of us who still hold a candle for the oldies? Well, what do you mean by that? You want us to review them again? Because all the games you mentioned, Carcassonne, Agricola, Imperial, El Grande, with the exception of Imperial, I've reviewed them. My reviews exist. You can go find that. So you just want another review of them? I mean, I can see that. I've thought about that in the past. I just don't know the value other than saying, hey, go back and play it. That's one of the reasons we do our Catch-A-Paloozas. We give a verbal review of the games we play there. Is there anything you wish more players knew, understood about board game design publishing that's not widely known today? Well, one, almost every company is smaller than you think. People will say, oh, the big companies should get off Kickstarter. Like, what big companies? Oh, CMON. CMON has less than 100 employees. They're not a big company. That's not big. That's big compared to maybe other board game companies, but most board game companies have 5 or less. Many companies are just one person, and yet people think they're these big conglomerates. So that would be something I wish more people understood about the hobby. And the difficulties of publishing a game. People complain about everything. How can this game cost so much? And I'm thinking, everything that went into it, these designers are losing their shirt, publishers are losing their shirts, and people are going to scrimp and argue about how expensive something is. All right, let's see here. People are talking about some Halloween games. I was in Alaska last week to see the Northern Lights. Yes, I've seen the edge of the Northern Lights one time when I was in Iceland. Any state that you would really like to visit? Well, I think I did a thing through all the states that I've not visited. I would like to go to Montana. I would like to go to, of states I've not been to. So Montana would be a neat one to go to. I've never been to Arizona. I think that'd be interesting. I've never been to Hawaii, actually, so I'm sure that would be fun. And Alaska, sure. Anything that has cool, interesting sights. Anything I can, I like to video different, landscapes and things like that. I have a video channel that I do as a hobby called Minutes of Peace. And you can subscribe to it because I'm almost up to 350 or something like that subscribers. But yeah, just post a minute every day of peace, and any state that I can go to and get some more of that, I'm interested in them. I thought you had a Teach to Teach series by a contributor in the past. Yes, Matthew McCack did that, but I would rather teach games. Teaching how to teach a specific game is very narrow, and I'd rather have a series on just how to teach games in general. What's my favorite candy to get around Halloween? Well, probably anything Reese's, because I don't care what the shape is. A Reese's peanut butter cup is always good. Other than that, I don't really care. I don't think much about it. What was Chief Sokoto's reaction to Robert Downey Jr. being announced as MCU's Dr. Doom? I don't think he cared about that at all. He probably doesn't even know. He doesn't keep track of pop culture on any planet unless it's part of our subversive activity we're doing there. I mean War of the Roses, Lancashire vs. York by Peter Halls. Did you mean that one as well? I did mean that one. Who is playing the Kaavango live play later today? You'll have to come in and see. Will you also be doing a review of the game? Eventually. It's going to be the first time we've ever played it. That's what We'll Play It Live is. We just pull a game out and play it for the first time. Have I seen the newly announced game Vestage, coming from Orange Nebula? A new take on Vindication. I don't know anything about it. Oh, Mike posted my channel, Daily Minutes Apiece, in the chat. And it looks like I'm caught up on questions. Man, all right, well, ask some more. Let me look up this Vestige while I'm waiting for more questions. Vestige. Orange Nebula. Oh, it's a sci-fi. Oh, my word. It is very much Vindication. It's sci-fi Vindication. Okay, cool. That's really what it looks like. Well, I know Vindication is probably their most popular game, so that makes sense. Do you inventory the game piece in your library after your conventions? That is not physically possible by humanity. To open up 2,000 games and count the piece in each of them, you just couldn't get it done. We do. Wendy goes through each game, and that has a report on it from the con, missing pieces, and we get those fixed. In fact, just today, grabbed a bunch of pieces that need to be put into a game that was missing a bag of components. So we got those fixed. What's your favorite Play It Live intro? The King Domino one. Tortillas, corn or flour? I am a flour man. Curious, with the amount of new games you may need to play in a professional capacity, does it mean that if you pass on a game, you are unlikely to get back to it? For sure. I mean, I was just looking at a list of the 2024 games. So let's do this. This will be an interesting activity here. So I'm going to do a search for board games. And I'm going to look for games that are published in 2024. Actually, let's do one better. Let's do 2023. This is last year. And so we're going to look at all the hot games from last year that I never got around to playing. So I'm going to sort these by number of voters. So number 2 is Sky Team. Sky Team, I played an early prototype of it, and I didn't like it at all. The theme doesn't particularly appeal to me. My staff loves it. Everyone who has played it loves it. So I don't know that I'm ever going to play that one. Castle Burgundy Special Edition, I haven't rated that one. I'll probably play it at some point. Witcher Old World, that's one I never got to the table. Big, long, complex, and it might not ever make it. Also, the Witcher theme doesn't mean anything to me. Nucleum, I haven't played. Maybe, but Chris and Wendy played it and liked it and everything, and it's an interesting Euro game, but it just probably will never get played by me. Age of Innovation, I'm not a huge Terra Mystica fan, so I had no interest in that one. Voidfall, so much stuff in that box. I wouldn't mind playing Voidfall maybe at some point, but again, I just don't know that I'll see it happening. Great Western Trail, New Zealand. I like Great Western Trail fine. I enjoyed it. I didn't think I needed to play spin-offs of it, which is why I never got around to that. Septima. Now, that's one I might play at some point. Just haven't got around to it. Daybreak. I'm kind of cooling on cooperative games that are about stopping something bad from happening. I like ones where you fight a big enemy or something. So this one, again, everyone here at Dice Tower played it. I just didn't get around to it. Legacy of You. Solo games. I don't play those as much. Evacuation. This is one I would have liked to have played, but again, it just never made it to the table for me. Station Fall, I know this one's fairly complex. That's why I missed that one. By the way, for everyone I'm saying, there are 20 that I'm not saying because I played so many games from last year. And of course, me saying all this now is just going to have comment after comment saying, you really should play blankety blank. But I'm just saying, I missed the Lost Ruins of Arnak and Cascadia expansions. Coffee Rush. This one's actually still in my to-be-played pile. Trailblazers. I wouldn't mind playing that one. Bamboo. Yeah, I never got around to playing Bamboo. I like the different little games usually from Devere, but just that one didn't happen. Pray Another Day. That is definitely a 2024 game. I wonder why that's... Oh, maybe not. No, Pray Another Day is not 2024. I just never played that one. I don't know anything about it. Bot Factory. That's a Kanban style game. I've heard I might like that one. Just didn't make it. Horseless Carriage, I'll never play that. Namalia. Build the best animal sanctuary in a limited space with changing objectives. Pirates of Maracaibo. I really like Maracaibo, so this one is one that I will maybe play someday. Imperial Miners. I've heard good things about that. Dracula versus Van Helsing. And then we're just getting this stuff here that Triqueta, I don't know anything about that. Dragon Keepers, I didn't play that, but other people did. So, of the top 100 games that were people played last year, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, these including expansions, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35. So there's 35 I've not messed with. 65 I have. And then the next page is a little closer to maybe 50-50. And again, there's just so many games out there. I play a ton of them. But to say to go back, just doesn't always happen. Watch They Live last night, and it wasn't what we expected. Any classic or fan favorite movies that left you scratching your head? A lot, because I am always like, this is the movie everyone raved about, whether it is Clockwork Orange or whether it is, Eraserhead, or whether it is the Warriors, whatever the one with the bottles. I don't know, that sort of thing. Some of those classic movies just don't ring with me at all. What do you think of the new Arc Nova maps? I haven't even looked at them yet. I have them. I haven't looked at them really. Any interesting looking advent calendars in the pipeline? Well, I have the Exit advent calendar. That's pretty much the only one I have. The Living Crime Family Tree and Nothing Personal, such an interesting game mechanic. What are some board game mechanics that you think are really interesting? I like this segue. Like, here's a game you made with a great, interesting mechanism, which, by the way, was my co-designer, Steve, came up with that idea. He went and found the map for the mob family, and I was like, yeah, let's just do it. Because my initial idea was to do the whole thing in a circle, like a circular rotation, and he came up with that, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. There's lots of interesting game mechanisms. I've done a top 10 on that one. Do you think there's enough game where you could do a top 10 games with magnetic components? Probably not, but I do like the idea. Oh, 365 Adventures the Dungeon. That's at my house. I'm going to do that on January 1st, hopefully. Do you have a preferred source for game-built upgrades apart from BGG bits? Well, Etsy for sure. But there is a lot of them out there. There is so many things on Etsy. I mean, Etsy is like just a... I'm going to pull up and see if I can mention a few of them. Now, you got to remember... Some of these folks, ooh, these are neat. They make little metal bars. This is from Tiny Token Tower. Fake ingots. For those who don't like metal, plastic tokens, and paper chips. Oh, they're lightweight. They're made from polymer clay. Huh. I'm going to have to try those out. And then I would be remiss, they are a sponsor of the Dice Tower, so keep that in mind. But Tinkertown Games makes the best components. They're metal pieces. They're components for Wormspan. I just played their coins for Veil of Eternity. Their stuff's metal, and it is absolutely fantastic. I really like it. Anything that they have in their games is just such top-notch stuff. There's so many cool components on Etsy. It is dangerous for me to go there. But yeah, I want to buy these little metal ingots now. So I probably won't. They're polymer. But this company, they make a lot of different small tokens that fit in different games. They have books. I bought those books. I bought many things from this company before. Little wood, Bitoku, ham, etc. Is there a gaming company that you feel gamers are sleeping on that you feel is doing a stellar job? You are trying to ask the big questions today. I think there's lots of good game companies out there. I don't know that people are sleeping on them. I just think there's a lot of companies out there doing a stellar job. That companies that put out consistent, good products. People sleeping on, that's a trickier thing. So I don't have any off the top of my head that I'd be like, people don't know about them, but they're also doing great games. I have not played Quacks the Quedlinburg Duel. If I was going to give a reward for the most overwrought game of the year. That's interesting. The most overwrought. I've definitely seen a few. Let me pull up my list of games I played this year. Here we go. 2024. And overwrought. I don't know, though, because overwrought's a strong word. Some of these games have a lot of cool things in them, but I like what they have in them. If I go to the ones I don't like, I don't know. I apologize. I don't really have a good answer for that. Most overwrought. Maybe I could think about it later. If I walk in and see it and go, oh, that one. As someone who doesn't play solo games much, what's your favorite solo game? Well, I mean, I don't play them as much as other people do per se, but I do play a decent amount. I played a game solo last night. I'm going to do a top 10 solo games at some point, so I'm going to save this for then. What top 10s are scheduled for the rest of the year? Well, I don't know. We're doing top 10 worker placement this week. Next week, I don't know what the top 10 list will be. We'll have various top 10s go up as the weeks go by. I will, there's only so many weeks left in the year. Definitely near the end of the year in December, we do our top 10 of the year. And for that, I'll be doing my top 10 games of 2024, top 10 surprise of 2024, top 10 kids games, top 10 expansions, top 10 reprints. There's a lot of different top 10s that I'll be doing. Are you guys continuing the top 10 alphabet? I asked because I noticed you are pivoting to top 10 from 2014 this week. Well, top 10 from 24 got delayed briefly. We'll be doing that in a couple weeks from now. That has nothing to do with the alphabet. The alphabet is, I'm going to do the alphabet top 10 list, but I'm deliberately doing them in time frames when, you know, I'm doing them in between other top 10 lists. I think they're interesting. I think they're useful to find 10 games that have a specific letter that starts with them, but I don't want them to be the main focus. 2014 is coming, not because of I'm going to go through all the years, but because it was 10 years ago from now. So I like to take a 10-year retrospective at that. That's all. We already did a 2004 one, a 20-year retrospective. What are your thoughts on the emerging environmentally friendly components? Well, here's where I put my foot in my mouth, possibly. I don't know that it matters to me at all. And I'll tell you why. I'm not planning on throwing my games away. So I don't really care. They're not disposable. If you're talking about the plastic that wraps a game or the plastic that's in a card or the punch boards that you throw away, fine. But if you tell me, hey, these pieces can be disposed of, but I wasn't planning on throwing the pieces away, you say, well, maybe in 100 years or so. Maybe. And I mean, there's that perspective, but that is less of an issue for me. So that's why I think, you know, when I think it's funny sometimes when companies brag about it, I'm like, well, do you want people to throw your game away? I wasn't planning on it. Are we getting more reviews of everything Marvel United Multiverse? I feel like you've already filmed it all. I have not. And are just releasing it slowly one at a time. Well, it's coming. Good grief. You Marvel United fans are insatiable. I have one more coming out this week. I'm trying to review other things too. That's the main reason. I can't just do Marvel United. You'll get it. It's coming out. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more Multiverse reviews maybe. So you'll probably see them all done in 5 weeks at the rate I'm going. When you filmed your talk and play series, you constantly pause the game to do the talking parts. We would pause it at natural points and go in and record it. And Chris would just edit everything in there somehow. What's a more satisfying sound? Popping bubble wrap or stepping on a pine cone? Popping bubble wrap. Who thinks stepping on pine cones is satisfying? Is that a thing? When ranking games for a specific year, how do you handle games that were released in another country years ago but only came to the U.S. in the current year? For example, is Comic Hunters a 2024 game? If the game did not have an English thing, we will treat it as a 2024 game. Well, there's two different ways I do this. One is for the Dice Tower Awards. So yes, next year, for the Dice Tower Awards, Comic Hunters is eligible because it was not an English game previously. For me, Tom Vasel's list of 2024, I won't include it because I already played it and considered it for another year. That's the only difference, really. I'm more strict on the Dice Tower Awards games than I am on my own. I have not played the latest Imperium game, but we have played the latest Undaunted, and we'll review that at some point. How many games usually get played in a week? Maybe 15 or 20? I don't know. Where am I at here? At some point, though, all those games will end up in a landfill. Sure, I just don't think that that's as big of an issue right now. Most people are saying they're going to be buried with their board games or in them. Yes, Video Game Champion is also eligible for this year. In fact, I'm going to have to go look and see if I put it on my list for last year. How many different Aegis Steam maps have you played? Not that many. 6? 7? I mean, I played the base game. I played a bunch of expansions. I played a couple funky ones. Have you ever burned out of playing board games? Yeah, for like a day, maybe. I'll go do something else, and then go back and play more board games. Any news from the Chief? You'll have to rewind. I already talked about the Chief in this episode. You were just told that by Violent Frog. What events are you going to soon? I am going to the Games Expo in Thailand. I'm flying out Tuesday night of next week, which I believe means I land there Thursday morning. I miss a day. So I'll be there Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and a good chunk of Monday. Then I fly out Monday in the afternoon or evening and land here Tuesday morning. They're like 26-hour flights, or etc. It's long. Rewind. Oh, that's right. We don't say rewind anymore, do we? Still playing any video games? Well, I mean, not a ton, but when I do have a chance to play video games, I'm still playing Elden Ring. So I have a good time playing that game. It's fun. I play on my iPad occasionally. I said I'm playing Vampire Hunters on my iPad. But I don't play a ton of video games. I usually play board games if I can. Mike says, I still hold my thumb to my ear, pinky to my mouth to show talking on the phone. Yeah, that's right. This is talk on the phone. That means that you call someone. It's interesting to know this is talking to someone. And if I ask the waiter for a check, I'm like, I do this, you know. And I guess that you're signing the receipt maybe, but it's I'm trying to think of different things that we do. Have you read any Guy Gavriel Kay? I know nothing about him. Will we see another top 10 list with Trey Parker? I don't know. I haven't communicated with Mr. Parker in quite a while. I saw him at Dice Tower West last year briefly. Or was that 2 years ago? We'll see. Any future plans for the Dice Tower Encore channel? No, I don't plan to take it down because I think I don't want to lose all the content that's on it. But we found out people weren't going there. It was confusing for us to have two channels, so we just moved the reviews from there. There was only one a day anyway, so we just moved it to our own channel. Wait, what is this? The Castlevania expansion for Vampire Survivors comes out October 31st? Oh, that's cool. I already thought it was very Castlevania-esque. If someone from another YouTube channel knocked on your door tomorrow with a resume, who would you most want it to be? Oh, that's for me to know, and that's it. I'm not going to worry about that. You're saying which YouTuber do I like the best? There's several fantastic YouTubers out there. What board games are better as apps? I don't know if there's a ton of that. I think Terraforming Mars works really great as an app, and so does Ascension. Those are the two that I will play only as apps rather than in person. What game did you most look forward to being released but was disappointing? I think we did a top 10 disappointments list in that regard. That happens all the time, but it's not a big deal. I'm just like, man, this was so disappointing. You know, I do my top 10 anticipated games of the year, my top 10 anticipated from Essen or Gen Con. There's usually going to be disappointments. There seems to be a resurgence of interest in retro games with purpose-built handheld gaming devices. You mean like people that's playing Mario and other things? That's okay. It's just because my generation has money now, and so that's what they're doing. They're buying these games. I'm excited for Mistborn, the deck building game. I don't have any real strong impressions because I haven't seen it. I mean, I saw some people playing it, but I didn't play it myself because I don't normally play prototypes at cons. Will I review all the DC United? Of course I will. I love United. Doesn't matter if it's DC or Marvel. I won't have as much knowledge about the characters possibly, but I'll still review it. What will I play this Halloween? I will be in Thailand. How often do you 3D print inserts for games? Never. I'm not a big insert guy anyway. I like my plastic boxes and my plastic bags. They hold my pieces just fine, thank you. Who's the most famous person I've met? I guess Trey Parker, like famous in the world. I've met a few actors, Rich Sommer, and I've met Will Wheaton, and I've met a few other actors. Travis Oates does the voice for Winnie the Pooh, so I guess he's kind of famous. I met the president of Iceland. I would guess those are the most famous people I met. I don't really go out of my way to meet famous people. Board game wise, I've met almost everyone in the board game business who is quote unquote famous. What expansions do you recommend for the Dominion app? Oh my. I think they do like a daily thing where you can play from different expansions. Just look and see which ones you like the most. There's so many expansions. Are there any board game content creators who you haven't met yet who you'd like to meet and or play games with? Oh, I'm sure there's plenty of them that I haven't met and like to play games with. I don't always have a chance to play games with content creators. Do you think FOMO is more publisher-driven or consumer-driven? I think it's a bit of both. I mean, obviously publishers want you to buy stuff in the future. Of course they want you to get that stuff. But consumers are definitely doing it now. How many hats are you up to now? I don't know. I do need to count because people keep asking me that question. What color was the last hat I bought? The last hat I bought was brown, maybe? Where can I get Betakuma Fart and Furious? I heard you talk about it on the app and I want it. On my podcast, I think you mean. Oh yeah, you did say that. I don't know. It's from Thailand, I think. So I'll review it at some point. Who knows? Maybe someone will pick it up. What games are you most excited for releasing in 2025, says Dean, who obviously has not been following along on the conversation about FOMO and Cult of the Future. I haven't a clue about 2025. Right now, I'm excited to talk about 2024. Will we have a Halloween party? No, I don't have a Halloween party here at the studio. If you could host any celebrities for a game of something, what game and who are the celebrities you're most likely to game with? I don't know. I probably would play with Jimmy Fallon. He seems like he has a fun time playing games anyway. And grab a couple other people. I would just, I don't know, I'd pick people who seem to have fun personalities and pick any game to play with them. Who cares? Lord of the Rings Duel for Middle-earth got good scores from you. Can you elaborate a bit on the comparison to regular Seven Wonders Duel? Not here. In my opinion, it was missing a bit in the review. Well, I'm sorry, but I try not to do that too much in reviews. Unless the review specifically says, comparison of Lord of the Rings Duel and Lord of the Rings and Seven Wonders Duel, I don't think it's as helpful to have so many comparisons in them because some people have never played the first, and then the whole review doesn't make sense. So I try, and sometimes we get caught up in reviewing one game to another. But I think if you're going to do that, it should be in a separate video. Not a Q&A video, but one where you would have them side by side. Will I compare the two of them? Maybe. Maybe someone else at Dice Tower will do it. We'll see. Are there any literary characters that you feel are weirdly missing from the Unmatched series? No, because I think there's thousands of literary characters. How could they get them all in the game? Do you get more excited to play a new game or a revamp of a game that you already know is good? I think they both get me excited. I've created a horror board game, but I'm having trouble getting connected with publishers to showcase the game. Any recommendations? I will be at BGG-Con in November. I think you just answered your own question. If you're going to a con, find out what publishers are going to that con and work with them to set up times there to show them the game. Man, how good are the recall turns in Andromeda's Edge? They're fantastic. I love them. What are your top 3 memories of board gaming over the years? The experience that have stuck with you until this day, even after having played hundreds of games. I remember sitting on the floor in my house in Korea, playing a card game with my 2-year-old daughter, and being impressed that she picked it up. That was just, I just remember that moment. Not saying anything spectacular about it, but that was a good time. I remember the first time I went to a convention and someone recognized who I was. I thought that was kind of cool that someone read my reviews. That was really neat. There's just so many good memories of playing board games. I had a board game bachelor party one time for somebody. A bunch of people came through, I think from India, and played some board games with me one time here in Homestead. There's been various good things. It would be hard to narrow it down to a top 3. Karen wants to know my top 10 2026 releases. Okay, I'll do that to close this out. Let's see if Board Game Geek has anything listed. I'm sure they do. Advanced game for 2026. Well, there is. Let's see which game has the most ratings. Fjordar has 33 ratings. Conquer lands, secure your heirs, fight your enemies, win the throne of Norway. None of these games. Oh, The Story of Many is coming out in 2026. That one looks interesting. And yeah, it's the only one that really kind of jumped out at me. Man, there's so many games here from 2026, but less than 100. So there is that. Let's see if there's a game for 2027. That'd be hilarious. There's one game called Dead Zone from Dark Frontier Games, designed by Richard Davis. Was this a Kickstarter? Someone said available yet 3 years ago. This was in 2022. They asked the designer, is this game going to be available or in retail in Australia? They're still in development. Was it a Kickstarter? No, that's a different game from Mantic Games, Dead Zone. I don't know. That was kind of a fruitless task there. All right, everybody. So I appreciate... thank you all for watching. We'll be back in a few hours to do a We'll Play It Live. So we'll see you then. Until then, I'm Tom Vasel. Thanks for asking questions, everybody. See you next time. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you like this review or whatever you just watched, wasn't it amazing? Check out our channel, Dice Tower. We have all kinds of things. We review games, we do top 10s, we play games live. It's all about board games, but especially the people who play them. Check out Dice Tower YouTube channel.